Hey Mario, if it's possible to actually just to break through those letters and then it'll just trying to create even more rings and lives just like it does in Sonic Colors, well, it turns out, Blossom, it doesn't. So what you can do here is that you can actually stand onto the letters. That can give us a hint until for later. Hey everybody, this is me, Blossom here from the Powerpuff Girls franchise, and I'm Mario here. Well, welcome back for some more of the Bugsy Toys videos, and welcome back to more Let's Play of Sonic Generations for the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 / PC. So last time we actually did manage to go through all three of these levels in the Dreamcast era, which is essentially Speed Highway and also City Escape, Seaside Hill, and that's all there is to say. So today for this episode, we're about to continue on and move on to the Dreamcast era. Well, we're actually going to be tackling through the challenge acts. So let's start first things first, something relatable to Speed Highway. So I do know there's one challenge we haven't showcased off, and that was the form of the Doppelganger races. Yeah, basically what it says Doppelganger race is all about is that you have to go through the entire level again, but except the fact the difference was though is that we need to race against with somebody, like a copy version of yourself. So yeah, take this Speed Highway challenge for example. That we have to go for go for whole the level again, but except the fact that we race against with someone else. So, but if your doppelganger wins, then you have to redo the whole challenge again. So, but no, as far as the S-rank challenge is concerned, for the time wise, then we need to actually beat about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So we don't know exactly for sure we're gonna try to beat that time, even though we'll just see if we can actually try our best if we can do it. So yeah, how's anyone doing? Well, basically, there's not much else we can actually just to speak of when it comes to those sort of uploading schedules and all that stuff. Besides the fact that there's gonna be quite a few discussion about we need to actually mention about this is that recently, during in our own time, we actually managed to complete our next Zelda game into our Zelda completionist. We did done. The game called The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. That Wonder World. Okay. I did not exactly know what's happened there, but I'm pretty sure we almost gonna get zoom across the bottomless pit, or even then, my controller just getting really glitched out at one point, even from my analog stick. But as long as that we're actually using our Halo 3 controller edition, so even then though, that's how we can actually just use that. So anyway though. Recently we managed to complete ourselves our Game Boy Advance version of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, which I think that's actually quite a good run, and even for a quick run, I have to say. Sure that we did die like twice, but even then though, it's a little bit more less death situations, unlike the Super Nintendo version. But even then though, there are some other things that we totally missed out from, ever since that it does come with the Four Swords game included. So that means there consist of 2 things we actually missed out, which they are entirely optional though if you actually just about to be going after those stuff. Is that there's actually the Hurricane Spin, which acts out, I think it kind of feels a bit similar to the ones in Diminished Cap usually handles. But even then though, there's something is more relatable to a multitask when you're actually trying to obtain the Hurricane Spin, honestly. But even then though, that we totally pass on that one. But even then though, we will try to figure it out as soon as we're trying to get that ability going. And there's also the powers to the 4 Swords, which it only requires us to play through 4 Swords game on the Game Boy Advance, which I'm sure enough that's not gonna happen because I'm pretty sure that we don't actually have ourselves our Game Boy Advance link cable, so that's the only reason we can discuss on that one. So anyways, we've been the doppelganger version of modern Sonic, so that means we entirely win the race. So yeah, let's see if we actually get ourselves yet another key. I believe another key was actually formed of up there, so hopefully we can easily reach to it. But before we actually get towards it, there's actually a musical note here which contains a artwork of any sort. So now we're gonna switch, so that means we can actually let's go ahead and just switch back to modern Sonic, because I don't really think we actually haven't sort of tackled through any one of the Sonic Friends missions, which I'm sure enough we'll actually try to demonstrate one, which I believe we're gonna be moving on to the City Escape one, and there it is right here. So let's see what this mission's called. Cream Helping Hand. So basically what we can do in this particular challenge is that we need to actually go for the entire point of the level while actually keeping hold of only one ring. And if you lose about one ring or another, there's actually a call button. If you either press the Y button or the triangle button for the PlayStation 3 version, then Cream will actually give you a ring freebie. So, yeah, that's how this usually goes. So yeah, as you can see that you do have like 5, or actually 6 actually, for 5 Chow and even Cream herself. So even then though, that what happens was though is that again, if you lose about 1 ring in this particular part, then you obviously have yourselves a call button to you actually you know, so that way you can get yourselves a ring back. So for instance that you actually have to dodge a lot of bombs on the road, and as well as also some enemy hazards here and there, and also there's going to be a lot of hazards we're going to be coming across towards too, and somehow we actually realized we ran out of boost meters, so even then though we have to go through a normal route. So that's fine by me, because obviously we're pretty much almost towards the halfway point of this mission. So but again, we stressed that enough that we're not going to tackle through every single challenge acts, honestly, because, you know, they are entirely optional if you those of you very curious. So, anyway, though, what's another thing we'd like to discuss about? Whoa! What in the world? This thing is going incredibly glitchy all of a sudden. Well, not so much glitch heavy, unlike Sonic 06, but it's going really weird, though, all of a sudden. So anyway, another thing we'd like to mention is the fact that not only do we actually get ourselves, what's the game that we actually did discuss upon? I believe, oh jeez, I can't remember now. But anyway though, we actually recently got ourselves Metroid Prime 2 Echoes for the GameCube, which I'm pretty sure that we already discussed upon on that. Oh yeah, before we actually get into this actually, if you do not press any of these, callback buttons, mainly the Chow and Cream the Rabbit, you can simply just actually leave all 6 of those members for all the time. So if you do that, then this will actually decrease a hell of a lot more timer. So pretty easy way if you actually get yourselves an S rank from. But even then, I found this challenge to be really easy and piece of cake. So anyway though, so let's go ahead and grab our musical note, and it's actually Toxic Capes from Sonic Spinball, a spinball pinball table. So if you like to pronounce that correctly, I'm pretty sure that's why I can suggest that. Okay, so before we move on to the challenge acts for the Seaside Hill, let's grab our 2nd key, and now we're going to be getting our 3rd and final key, but we're going to deal with the challenge acts for Classic Sonic in Seaside Hill, so that we can figure we can actually just try to do that, I have to admit though. Alright, so in order to actually, okay, let's go ahead and showcase off this challenge here, which is the form of the rescue challenge. Basically, in this particular mission is that we need to actually rescue all the flickies from the animal capsule, just like how it does in the old school Sonic games from Sonic 1, 2, and 3. But in Sonic CD, you can only save the flowers, basically, so even then, that makes it entirely makes a difference. So, anyway though, and the S-rank time on this one is actually a minute and 40 seconds as far as I'm concerned. So, for this challenge, it's not so bad. We get ourselves a little bit more, you know, animal capsules that we need to actually get out of. So, yeah, it's pretty simple, self-explanatory kind of thing about it, as long as you pay attention to, the light blue, you know, the top part right there. So that means it actually represents the animal capsules will actually... What?! What?! You've got to be kidding me! I glitched for that! What?! What's wrong, Mario? I have no idea why it just happened right there. But even then though, still, that, sometimes that I just somehow managed to clip for the floor. Okay, that's a bit odd right there. But even then though, that's, luckily though, our time resets, and also not to mention though, that our animal, rescuing count is restarted to 0, so, there we go, now we don't actually clip for the floor. But, how unbelievable how that happened. But anyway though, let's get back onto the discussion. You remember when we mentioned it before, where we actually got ourselves, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes for the Nintendo GameCube. We also managed to get ourselves our 2 new, or I say new, but in fact they may be old 2D Metroid games, which are both on the Game Boy Advance, which are both Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission for the Game Boy Advance. The only thing I might actually consist of though is the fact that, although most of the time though, it's usually common every nowadays, that we usually get ourselves most of the time our different cartridges of those Game Boy Advance games every nowadays. Even especially noticeable in the Pokemon games most likely though, so... In fact, one thing I need to point things out right about now is the fact that we like to actually point things out though is that we don't exactly have ourselves Pokemon Sapphire anymore, probably because usually we're just not a big fan of the actual Pokemon series entirely in my opinion, but we do usually big fan of the spin-off titles of the Pokemon games because usually we got those Pokemon Snap for the Nintendo 64 because that was a part of my childhood memories. And also for the likes of, what else does it include on here? Pokepark Wii and Pokepark 2 for Nintendo Wii. And finally, Pokemon Puzzle League for the Nintendo 64 as well. And that's all I can really say about this here, so... But yeah, usually I'm a big fan of the spin-off Pokemon titles, but not so much for the main Pokemon series, honestly. So, yeah, that's why we actually discuss on that, so... So yeah, all we need now for the Metroid games, as far as that's been concerned, is both Metroid Prime 1 and also Metroid Prime Federation Force for the 3DS, even though despite the fact this might be the black sheep of the series of the Metroid Prime games, even the entire Metroid series entirely. But as long as the fact that it might be a good timing for us though, so we actually did just to tackle through ourselves in the entire Metroid games, excluding the likes of Super Metroid that we might try and tackle for that game on our Let's Play channel. But even then, we don't know exactly for sure just yet though, Blossom. Don't get hyped for it though. Okay, I'm just probably asking. So anyway though, so now we're done for the challenge acts. Now we're going to be moving on into the rival battles and the boss battles themselves on the Dreamcast era. As you can see with that right there, in order to actually reach up to the rival battle, you must simply just actually stand on top of the City Escape logo. And then basically, this what you actually ended up on is Shadow the Hedgehog? You're finally here, Sonic. I don't know where I am or where we are, nor do I care. This is where I'll finish you, Sonic. Yeah, I apologize for this lacking of dialogue or anything like that. I really do apologize for that, folks. So anyways, here we go, face off against with Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't know why we're going to be fighting him in the first place, ever since, both Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic 06. Shadow the Hedgehog. By the way, for this little opening sequence right there, it always kind of reminds me like I was watching the opening intro theme from not only from Sonic Adventure 2, but just from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, because, you know, with the Sonic and Shadow just went onto the moon together. That actually feels really epic though, I have to admit though. And yes, this battle usually takes place in Final Rush, because this makes perfect sense, because unlike in the 3DS version, for some reason it usually takes place in Radical Highway for some strange reason. But even then, it usually makes it more perfect sense in this version because, you know, it takes place in Final Rush from Sonic Adventure 2. And yes, Shadow's first appearance is obviously from Sonic Adventure 2, so... Yeah, so for this particular battle right there, unlike how it does it in the 3DS version that you have to race against with him, this particular battle is all about you have to go ahead and see if you actually race against with him in order to actually touch the orb. Because as you can see, you actually have yourselves 2 additional slots to actually obtain the orb from. Because if you obtain at least 2 orbs, this way you can actually get yourselves a special technique. Which, basically all you do is basically don't let Shadow get to the second orb. Because if Shadow goes after those 2 orbs, then he will go into realistically trying to attack you with the specific attack. Like as you can see right here, that he actually got himself 2 of those special orb powers. So even then though, he can perform himself the Chaos Spear homing missile attacks. So even then though, you have to dodge those by simply using a quick step. And the final part is that you have to quickly dodge this last finishing move for the Chaos Spear. And yeah, for this particular theme right there, as you can clearly hear, this is actually based off from High Hail Shadow from, I'm presuming, Sonic 06 version. Yeah, except for the Shadow the Hedgehog version. Oh Christ, we run out of boost energy already. But even then, we can hopefully try to get through the last orb already, so yay, we managed to power it up. So yeah, in order to deal the damage of Shadow, is that you need to actually just obtain, you know, the 2 power orbs, and then basically if you actually become fully powered, then you should able to actually catch up to Shadow. And then basically what I suggest you do is that you need to constantly break in those little meteors until you actually just temporarily stun him. But if you do, then that's how you're supposed to approach towards him, and if you approach really towards him, then you should able to deal the final blow to Shadow. So, eat that, Shadow, with the whole balancing of rings taking off. You'll be finished until for now. Well, at least until you come back in Sonic Forces, which for some strange reason that he'll become evil again. Which I don't know why, because even then though, unlike Silver the Hedgehog that he usually becomes in Sonic's side, but even then though, what I've heard in Sonic Forces E3 trailer, that Shadows usually becomes in the evil forces, alongside with Zavok and no, not Perfect Chaos, Chaos and Metal Sonic, the modern version. Which, speaking of such though, I have not seen the modern version of Metal Sonic anywhere else in this game so far. But even then though, the only version of Metal Sonic we can only see for the time, and that was the classic version of Metal Sonic. So, anyway, so we got ourselves our third Chaos Emerald, which is the yellow Chaos Emerald, the only color that actually represents from the scene from Sonic Adventure 2, where Sonic uses the Chaos Control in order to actually go ahead and use the Chaos Control power, while simply just actually escape with this little explosion capsule from that, you know, Space Colony arc. So yeah, that's actually a pretty cool representation for that color, for that Chaos Emerald that Sonic usually has. So anyway, folks, and now we move on to the actual main boss of the Dreamcast era. So I wonder who could that be? We'll never know until when the slowly screams is about to be done. Perfect Chaos. So yeah, Perfect Chaos, obviously he's made his first appearance ever since in Sonic Adventure 1 as the part of the final boss in Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure DX. But even then though, that this particular battle is that obviously we don't have to deal with him with the likes of Super Sonic this time around, because obviously since we don't actually get ourselves all of the 7 Chaos Emeralds, speaking of which, because obviously the main premise of this battle right there is the fact that we need to actually just do a little bit of a boost heavy basically in order to deal the damage of Perfect Chaos. Sorry for a little bit of a tongue twister right there, ladies and gentlemen, do apologize. But basically what to do in this battle is that it's pretty simple, that we have to go through these different segments of the battles that sometimes you have to be doing a lot of platforming basically, so it's that modern Sonic was actually more capable of just to run up on water, because unlike in Sonic Adventure 1, that obviously Super Sonic can do a whole lot of work in order to actually deal with Perfect Chaos. But even then though, that modern Sonic was actually incredibly powerful and no need to actually get ourselves some Chaos Emeralds in order to actually deal the damage of Perfect Chaos this time, because, you know. Oh, well, I will admit, though, is that the Open Your Heart theme is actually a little bit too rough around the edges, though, for me, unlike it does in the original vocals version of Open Your Heart. Because even then, I kind of prefer the original version of Open Your Heart song more so to this version as ever was. So, anyway, so for this particular battles that you need to actually just to keep an eye out your boost gauge, so that if you boost right in towards the Perfect Chaos's body, then you should able to actually just to go to the top. And yeah, his weak spot is actually at the very top of his head, so that just in case you're able to homing attack onto him, and that should be good to go. So the fourth and the final part of this particular battle though right there, and it's the fact that you need to be very careful on this, because obviously if you go into the water, and especially you see those little signs over there, this counts as a bottomless pit, so you have to be very careful and you have to be very cautious. Specifically, the final part of this battle is that don't let the platforms can catch you off guard at points, because you will realistically going to die, and also not to mention the platforms will fake you out if you're being safe or not. Like this part, for example, that if you're thinking about trying to actually homing attack onto the springs just to begin with, then obviously the platform might start to trick you until you actually just manage to, you know, fall down to the actual platforming section or what have you. So just don't let that catch you off guard at points, ladies and gentlemen. Just be careful on that. So Perfect Chaos is being vanquished, and hopefully we won't see him ever again until, well, obviously LEGO Dimensions in 2016. And also, I'm not exactly sure for Sonic Forces though, although we'll have to figure this out though. So anyways, that concludes the Dreamcast era, aka, I think this is probably one of my favorite eras of the entirety of Sonic Generations. Yeah, specifically it's one of my favorite games of all time from my nostalgic memory. Yeah, it could be one of them.
You've brought back quite a bit of this world. You're doing great, Sonic. You mean you're doing great, Sonics? Right. I may never get used to that. Oh!
Watch out!
That monster sure didn't like that emerald. Those things have come in handy in the past. We've already got a couple, but we need that emerald. Sonic, you should go over there and check it out. I bet you can bring that Chaos Emerald back just like you brought back our friends. And I bet you double we're gonna need all 7 emeralds. You guys have your work cut out for you.
An adventure's no fun if it's too easy.
Alright, so now it does it for that, and now we move on to the final era of the entire game, known as the Modern Era, which actually can ranging from 2006 to 2010. So this could be summed up like this: is that in the classic era is more likely years by 1991 to 1994, and then the Dreamcast era was actually forms of 1999, or in this case 1998, to 2003. So as far as I'm aware, that's all it usually becomes. Surprisingly enough though, it doesn't contain a level from Shadow the Hedgehog, surprisingly. So, yeah, it's pretty cool, obviously. So, anyways, we're going to end things off here just as from here. So join us next time when Let's Play Sonic Generations for the Xbox 360/PlayStation 3 and PC version. Is the fact that we're going to be starting things off with the modern era while actually going through the level from Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, known as Crisis City. So, oh boy, Crisis City, huh? So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.